621-0800. They'll be asked for a participant ID number, and that number is 782-956. They will also be prompted to announce themselves as if they're going to be announced as they enter the conference call. That functionality is turned off, but they will be prompted to announce themselves. They can either do that or choose not to, but in either case, they do need to press pound to complete that function, and then they'll be added to the call. So with respect to executive session, we don't anticipate one today, but if we were to conduct an executive session, the governing body would continue to meet in this room due to size limitations and social distancing limitations. So the conference call, the Salina Media Connection feed, both on cable TV and online, and the YouTube live feed would all be paused or muted. The conference call would stay live, so anyone that was on the call could stay on while the governing body was in executive session. At the point that you come back out of executive session, we would unmute all those technologies, so the conference call would be unmuted again, as well as Salina Media Connection and YouTube Live. So as one last reminder, if anyone wishes to participate by calling in, that number is 785-621-0800, and they'll be prompted for a participant ID number, and that is 782-956. And then if I can, I'll take the opportunity to apologize for the impromptu need for this special meeting. I appreciate your willingness to meet. It involves application for a grant, and staff became aware that the submission requirements of the grant included an affirmation that all applicable governing body authorizations were in place, and as we looked at that, it was pretty emphatic in the way that it was worded. It just felt like it was necessary for you to authorize the application before it was submitted. So with that, I'll turn it over to Brad Anderson. He's in these altered times in terms of staffing and roles. Brad's taken on the role of shepherding grant applications and monitoring grant opportunities. So he's been staffing through this Department of Justice grant as it relates to coronavirus emergency supplemental funding. So I'll turn it over to him.
Thank you, Mike, and thank you, Mayor and Commissioners, for this opportunity that I think will be a benefit to the city. As you are well aware, with the onset of the coronavirus, multiple resources have been made available through state and federal channels, offering funding through existing or new programs. This particular program, the emergency supplemental funding, was available both through state and the state requirement, to go to the city manager's point. The state requirement didn't authorize didn't expect the governing body approval, and when I got the federal copy open and was working on that application on Tuesday during your meeting, is when I saw that language, and we just weren't able to notify you in time. So that is my fault for not being further ahead in this and getting far enough down on the grant application to see that. It was one of the final stipulations at the end of the application process. So with that being said, what has been made available through the Office of Justice Programs and the Department of Justice is a predetermined amount of $62,384 to be used for law enforcement or law enforcement related and EMS, police, and fire applications. This isn't this particular amount of money is there's an amount that was made available also to the county, a slightly lower amount. They were successful in their grant application and have that money designated, and the time is running out to be able to qualify for and apply for this. What this fund will do for benefit of the city are two things. One, the fire department has produced, with the police department's help, a fairly significant list of personal protective equipment and devices, and also some replacement bags. The fire department's currently using a canvas-based bag for equipment. They have one of those in each of their vehicles, and they're proposing proposing to switch those from canvas to another material that's easier to clean and disinfect. The canvas, as you might imagine, is hard to disinfect effectively. And so what was prepared for this are two approximate cost projections. The one involving personnel and one involving equipment and supplies. I think it's worth a moment to talk about personnel with the details that you've heard about personnel and limited staffing and reassignment. As the police department was open throughout this time, they had to take some special measures, especially the first 2 months. They had 3 different personnel, 24/7, staggered, but a person at each shift at an entryway, monitoring temperatures and going through questions and so on of people entering the building. And so we got estimates from that 2 months, and we're able to project out what the impact of that would be if another incident similar occurred between now and the granting period ending as late as May of 2021. We also were able to gather information from the Building Services Department through Parks and Rec, but the custodians and maintenance workers who are helping take care of disinfecting, cleaning, and sanitizing the police department, the restrooms, the common touch surfaces, and so on with the aerosolized disinfectant that they're using, and some other efforts to mitigate any transfer of the virus. That all adds up. And so we utilized on the personnel side, you'll see that between now and what, for the granting purposes, there was no sense going and projecting this all the way out to May of 2021, when we're showing a minimum of about $84,000 or $86,000 worth of expenses between now and the end of the year. So we simply took the number of weeks, 31 weeks, and the projected rate of the current time that building services folks are spending with the police department to come up with that projection. From a commission standpoint, or the bottom line benefit of this is that there will be deferred expenditures with a successful award of the grant. It will allow approximately $20,000 worth of PPE between now and the end of the grant period to be purchased and to be able to utilize. The consumption of those, especially with EMS and you know, every ambulance run requiring additional steps and protocols than they had even done before, and with the police protocols as well. That's equipment and supplies that will be valued. That prevents us from having to spend that out of the city's general fund or the other budgeted funds for the department, and limited resources that they have can be allocated for other needs. The same goes with personnel. You know, that will be a department head and a city manager decision in terms of the breakdown and allocation of those exact amounts and how that reimbursement is made. But the substantial difference is that with the successful awarding of this, we'll have a little over $40,000 to be able to reimburse the city's general fund for the direct costs of the time that employees are spending with disinfecting and cleaning our law enforcement facility. There's quite a bit more detail within here in terms of the grant narrative. Some of that I did not go over with you because part of that has been borrowed from a previous press release that the city manager had approved and that went out a couple of weeks ago. It asked for a context of why this need exists. I don't think it's a high bar to get over as far as the grant application, but a necessary step. And it provides a little bit additional narrative with the police and fire efforts and declared needs as well. I know that Chief Hill and Chief Royce, or Chief Hill, Chief Nelson and Chief Royce are on the line and available if you have a detailed question about their departments or operations that I can't answer. I think I will stop there and stand for questions.
Okay, do we have any questions for Mr. Anderson?
Nope.
It's pretty straightforward, so. Do we need to see if there's anyone in the line that wants to make any
We can ask
comments?
for public comment. I recognize all the phone numbers as being support staff, but we'll make one additional request. If anybody wishes to address the city commission, please press star 9. Don't have any callers.
Okay. With that, I will bring it back to the commission for action.
Mayor Hoppick, Commissioner Hodges here. I move that we approve resolution number 20-7836, authorizing the city of Salina to apply for the CESF grant.
Commissioner Davis, second.
Okay. I have a motion and a second to approve resolution 20-7836. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That passes 4-0. And that is all we have on our agenda for this special meeting. So with that, I will accept a motion for adjournment.
Commissioner
Go ahead.
Davis, move to adjourn.
Commissioner Hodges, second.
Mayor Hoppick here. We have a motion and a second to adjourn. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you very much, everyone.